On Tuesday, I released a video talking about how I think the next MCU saga after the multiverse saga will be the mutant saga. But what would the mutant saga even build up towards? Would it be random mutant stories without a direction? While that wouldn't necessarily be a bad thing, I think it's pretty obvious what's going to come next. Avengers vs X-Men. Kevin Feige confirmed at Comic-Con that Avengers movies will now only be made to close out phases. With the Infinity Gauntlet and now Secret Wars storylines used, I've been trying to think of future Avengers-level events. While there are a few, my brain kept coming back to Avengers vs X-Men. With the X-Men being introduced presumably in Phase 7, it makes sense that they would play a major part of whatever the next saga is, especially the big finale. Take a look at the Multiverse Saga, for example. The Fantastic Four is kicking off Phase 6, and they will presumably play a key role in Kang Dynasty and especially Secret Wars, because in the comics, Secret Wars is a Doctor Doom and Reed Richards storyline, and with the Fantastic Four being introduced at the start of Phase 6, along with the Kang Dynasty and Secret Wars all being announced at the same time at Comic-Con, I don't think that's a coincidence. Plus, with the X-Men being, the X-Men, Kevin Feige will most likely want to capitalize on them as much as possible and do them right. By the time Phase 7 begins, it will have been roughly 7 years since the last X-Men movie was released, not counting the mutants. Enough time will have passed where fans will be eagerly waiting for new X-Men stories without associating them with Dark Phoenix, and I'd argue that time has already come. After two sagas that go arguably as big as you can, I personally don't see the next saga being bigger than the multiverse, because what else is even bigger than the multiverse? And that's okay. I think it's incredibly exciting to see conflict between groups instead. Plus, with all the X-Men stories, we don't need some massive Thanos or Kang level threat. A big reason I think this also is Cyclops. And bear with me here, I know Cyclops is my favorite Marvel character, so I guess there's a chance I'm biased, but I think there's actual logic to this. If there was one lead character of the X-Men, it would be either Cyclops or Professor X. And I know that the previous Fox movies have sort of, not brainwashed, but convinced the general audience that Wolverine is the lead X-Men character, but pick up any comic and you'll pretty much see that it's either Professor X or Cyclops. And for the sake of this video, let's just say both of them are equal, like Tony Stark and Steve Rogers. I'd argue that for the most part, Professor X has been done pretty well in live action. He doesn't need any real redemption. Cyclops, on the other hand, well, let's just say his live action adaptations haven't been great. No hate for James Marsden or Ty Sheridan. I think both could have made great Cyclopses, especially James Marsden. And I think Feige knows that. He used to sneak X-Men comics on the set of the first X-Men movie because the director blacklisted comics from set. Feige is a fan first. So I think Feige is going to take full advantage of Cyclops, who it sounds like they might be in the middle of casting. More on that in a future video. Cyclops is a major player in a few massive X-Men stories, one of them being Avengers vs X-Men. And if there is a mutant event that Feige wanted to do that hasn't been done already, and has Cyclops front and center, Avengers vs X-Men would be it. Combine that with the rivalry between Cyclops and Captain America in the comics. Yes, I know in the comics it's Steve Rogers and not Sam Wilson, but I think having Sam Wilson be the Cap Cyclops has this feud with could offer a new kind of rivalry that isn't seen in the comics and could be really interesting. The biggest reason for this, I think, is the one I mentioned at the start. Avengers movies will now close out sagas, and with the mutants likely playing a major role in the next one, it seems incredibly likely that Avengers vs X-Men will close out the next saga. But, what do you think? Let me know in the comments down below, and make sure to subscribe and hit the bell so you don't miss any future Marvel videos every Monday and Thursday at 3 p.m. Eastern. I'll also be doing a live stream for D23 on September 10th at 11 a.m. Eastern, where we will likely be getting the Fantastic Four cast announcement, hopefully some mutant stuff as well, so make sure to subscribe so you don't miss that either. Have a wonderful day. Thank you so much for watching, and hopefully I will see you next time.